What's going on, y'all? I'm Nametag Alexander, and you're listening to A Name Tag is Necessary. Be sure to listen or subscribe on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating or review. You can also find this podcast on Spotify, Radio Public. We're also on Google Podcasts and Anchor. Definitely check us out on Anchor. But definitely, like I say, when you're on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a rating, a review. Spread the word. Tell a friend about it. If you know other independent songwriters, composers, musicians alike, definitely spread the word. Tell them check this podcast out. Share it on your social media feeds. My latest project, Work, Win, Repeat, the EP. It is available now on all platforms to stream or download music. That's including but not limited to the usual suspects: Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Bandcamp, Tidal. You know where to go to do that. If whatever your preferred streaming platform is. It's also on vinyl though, so for the vinyl collectors out there, make sure you grab the vinyl. You can go directly to my website at nametagalexander.com to place your order for that. It's not a limited edition. It's just up there until I decide to pull it down. So if you want to go ahead and order the vinyl, definitely go ahead and do that. Or if you were like on my Instagram or whatever, you could just hit the link tree. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the link tree in this description of this episode. Shout out to the homies, the duo Vivid Screams. That's on point. That's young. They got 2 singles out. One is called Second Life. The other is called Money Bags, which is also available on all platforms to stream or download music, your preferred platforms. You know, like I mentioned earlier, Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music. But also shout out to Grasher Jones. Him, along with On Point and Young, they also have a podcast out. It's called the Jukebox Guys Podcast. Available on the same platforms as mine. Like I say, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Definitely Anchor, so make sure y'all show some love. Check that podcast out and spread the word about it as well. The topic that I wanted to get on today is targeting your audience. Targeting your audience. That's important for especially independent songwriters. If you're funding your own career, this is something that's definitely important to go off of. Finding your target audience. Now, the way that you want to do that, I would recommend starting with the company that you distribute your music through. You want to make sure that that company is able to provide some type of analytics to see where your music is reaching. So as far as which countries, which main cities, the gender, male or female, what percentage of female are listening to your audience versus male, the age range, the artists that are alike. Or you can also do this too, if not just getting it from the analytics from the distribution company for your music. Definitely make sure you have a Spotify artist profile. This is why this helps. This is super important. Whenever you put out a single or a full project or whatever with artists, with Spotify artists, you can go on the dashboard and see, your target for the most part. And this is if you've been putting out music, or even it don't have to be if you've been putting out music consistently. Just just be based off of one song. Let's say if you got a set type of style, for the most part, you can actually go on Spotify artists, that profile, and you will be able to see the geographic data of who you're reaching. So let's say you just put your single out. You've given it about a week. You check your Spotify artist profile, and it's going to show you the countries that you're hitting for the most part. Like if you do, let's say if the United States is number 1, most of your music is streaming in the United States, top, flat out. And then second, there's France. Third, you got the UK. 4, you might have Germany. 5, it might be Canada. You get what I'm saying? So it'll show you which countries are streaming your music the most. And I think the list is. I usually try to go off the top 5. Top 5 is decent as far as like what countries you're gonna like pretty much target. But what's also important, if not most important, is the age range. So if you're making music that's reaching a base of, let's say 25, no, I won't even say 25. Let's say you putting out music that's reaching a base. I use my own self as an example, right? It's been consistent since about 2013. This is around the time where we put out the For Namesake project. Shout out to Nameless and Brick Records as well. But when we put this out, till this day, like if I check the stats on the analytics on SoundCloud or even Bandcamp, or just getting the information from the indie label, Brick Records, just seeing like where we reached it compares to when I put out my own music that's separate from For Name's Sake. It's the same type of data. So the age range is usually 28, and that's at the minimum. The age range is usually around about 28 years old through age 44. That's the age range, the average right there. Now, if we talking about gender, just to give you an example, it's up and down, but the male gender always listens more than the female, right? So just to give you an example, something simple, it's probably around about 85% listeners that are male of my music. The other 15 is women, right? So it's not going to make sense. You do kind of want to cater to your audience. It's not going to make sense for me to constantly drop out songs and be on my LL shit if I'm getting more of listens from men. So it's not going to make sense for me to. It could make sense because it's like they can play that around women, they can play that around chicks, but at the same time, it's like, all right, I'm not gonna put out a project chock full of joints for the ladies if I know that my listenership is more so men. So I kind of gotta stick to what I've been doing in a sense, to where it's like just bars, just giving y'all just bars, like, yo, rapidy rap. But at the same time, it's structured in a sense where the song, I'm just giving y'all an example. I'm not saying this is what I have to do, but at the same time, I know my audience. My audience is more so just looking for, as they would say, like soul. They want, you want the soul samples, and we want the grit, we want the grime or whatever. And, I can go ahead and step outside of that and try to do, because I've done it. I've tried to make songs that cater to maybe a mixed audience, to where it's like, all right, let me try this sound, and it didn't work. It worked in a sense where it's like, yo, this is dope, but it didn't work to where like I had that following. The following kind of scattered and it went elsewhere. But I'll give you an example. I put out That's Word off of I started promoting That's Word off of Work When Repeat, the EP. Shout out to J Quest Beats for lacing me with that joint. And people started coming back, and I noticed more listens started increasing as far as like my audience, my target audience. Matter of fact, it happened with Grands. That's the top streaming song off of that EP. And Grands, shout out to Black Milk, who laced me for the production with that. Grands, which is also on Work When Repeat, the EP, that helped me find my audience again, and it ended up being the same exact audience that was from For Name's Sake, which was back in 2013. So I'm like, all right, I see what's up here. So I had to kind of, like I say, this podcast, I'm learning as I go, as I've been over the years. So now it's just like I'm including y'all with it, right? So it helped me find my audience again. So I started looking at the analytics like, wow, same thing, like that 80-20 split, that 85-15 or 70-30 split. Because sometimes it'll be where I'll get that female listenership, but it still don't quite topple the male listenership, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I say, definitely use Spotify artists to understand that geographic data, like who's listening to your music and what countries they're in. Like my top 5 countries on average are usually United States is always somewhere like maybe number 4, number 3 or 4. And then usually it's the UK, France, and Germany. And every once in a while, Canada make its way from like number 6 to number 4. But this is what I'm saying. You just got to understand your audience, like who's listening to your music. And that leads me over to putting a few dollars behind a Facebook or Instagram ad. It's not expensive. It's really not. You just got to kind of figure it out. Like you don't want to just pay for it and not know who you're targeting, what audience you're targeting. And that's what I was speaking on this earlier, as far as using your Spotify artist profile. Like a lot of people pull their music off of Spotify. Get it? If you're going to use Bandcamp, that's dope. That's dope. Definitely. I use Bandcamp all the time. Bandcamp is huge. Greatly supportive of like independent artists, and they show you analytics and data and more if you do if you cover the pro package on Bandcamp. So But you can go on there and see like where they're listening to. But Spotify is a little bit more detailed. So I don't always recommend like jumping to just pull your music off Spotify because or just the streaming platforms in general, because you could use that to where that's going to tell you more of your audience. Same thing with like Apple Music, because I think they do it where they tell you analytics like who's listening, where they're listening at. Yeah, matter of fact, they do. You get to verify Apple Music profile. But yeah, so you could spin that into where you're gonna put your ad dollars. So if you have a Facebook, what they call a Facebook business page or AKA Facebook fan page, you could take that data, that same data that you got from Spotify artists, and apply it to that. Like, okay, I know they fucking with me out here in Canada more, and I know, all right, so I got just as many listeners now in Canada that I do over here in France. Let's say the United States is like number 10. Okay, don't include the United States then. You might have to, because I've done it. I've done it with a few singles here and there, a few projects, to where you got to market that campaign or that sponsor ad. You might just want to market it to the top 5 countries that's rocking with you. And the United States, it might be a little bit lower because you more than likely it's possible that you could have people in other countries fucking with you more. So I'm a Detroit artist, so overseas they rock with us heavy when it comes to the music. So yeah, I'm gonna put more sponsored ads or put more to a sponsored ad going toward them. And then another thing you could do is, if you don't know, like this, if you're not sure, like what your audience is, this is another way that Spotify artists comes in handy, because on Spotify artists, depending on what distribution company you went through, if you got a good one, it's gonna help put you in the right algorithms with the artists that are similar. Like mine right now, if you go on my page, Nametag Alexander, my Spotify profile, when it says, all right, let me sip some water. Hold on. If you go on my Spotify profile at the bottom where it says artists alike or similar artists or whatever, you will see Black Milk, you will see Sky Zoo. Sometimes you will see Clear Soul Forces, but those are the usual. It's Black Milk, Sky Zoo. Depending on what music is being promoted that I'm pushing right now, if you go, you'll see the usual suspects. You'll see Black Milk, Sky Zoo, Big Pooh from Little Brother. At one time it was Fonte. It swaps between Fonte and Big Pooh. And it's another one. Oh, Torre, the MC Torre from New York. So yeah, it's falling right into the algorithms with the artists that my music is similar to. So that's what Spotify artists again comes in handy. So you can use that, and as you're doing that Facebook ad, is gonna be on there, because I'm not gonna take you step by step. You know, hit me in my inbox or something on social media. I'll walk you through it, but it's real simple. It's gonna tell you like the artists alike or people that like your page. You can just cater your campaign to the people who like your page, and when you do that, it's gonna reach people who are friends of them and people that are connected to them. So you're hitting a audience anyway, and you could also modify it and edit it to where you can still reach the audience of the artists who are similar, while still hitting the people who already, like your page with whatever ad that you're running. It's not hard, man. This shit is like, you just got to be willing to, and it don't even cost a lot. You got to just be willing to put the bread behind it. Like, you could literally take $10 to $15 and run an ad for a few days to a week. And depending on how you set it up to the target audience that you're trying to reach, you're gonna hit a lot of people, and you're gonna get the right amount of impressions. And I hate the word impressions, because sometimes that just means, oh, they saw it or they viewed it. No, I mean like as far as them actually engaging and sharing that post, because you don't know who might share it and who they share it, who, when they shared it, who else might see it, who else might click on that, who else might actually drop a comment and yo, this is dope. I'm gonna tell somebody else about it. And that's not how it usually happens. They don't say it that way verbatim, but just getting the word out. And because in that way, it technically is still organic. you know how I work right now with social media. You ain't just putting nothing out and then they're just gonna blow the social media platform. Be like, yo, this look like it's dope, so let's put it in front of everybody. Nah, they trying to make you pay for this shit anyway. So if you really want people to see it, yeah, put a few dollars behind that and target the right audience. Don't just put it out there and just target, like, let's say, let's say you make music that is sort of like, your music would be similar to Freddie Gibbs, right? Shout out to Freddie Gibbs. That Alfredo project was fire. You're not gonna put nothing out and then be like, well, let me market my music to an audience that are fans, full on fans of Roddy Ricch. That's not gonna make sense. Like, market to your actual audience, the audience that's rocking with you, and in turn, that's gonna, the more you do it, just being consistent with it. I mean, shoot, use the second paycheck of the month if you get commission or something, and take a few dollars if you got it. If you could do it, then cool, and put it toward an ad, like a sponsored ad. Like, I don't know where it became a thing where people tried to make it seem like you was corny if you put a sponsored ad out. Nah, if you run a business, if you run some type of brand, or that even travels outside of music, yeah, run a sponsored ad. We see that shit all the time. We, our smartphones we talk about stuff in our phone, pick it up, and next we jumping on social media and we got an ad pushed in front of our face. So yeah, like, put some money behind a sponsored ad to promote your music. Know your target audience, engage with their audience. Rock with those that are supporting you. Like, don't spend a lot of time worried about who ain't supporting you. Like, the people that's showing you love, that's shouting you out, fuck with them back. You know what I'm saying? And build that following. Get you a email list going or something, like, to those people that have become loyal. I don't want to say followers, but like loyal backers of your music. I'm getting winded, so that's it for the inaugural episode of A Name Tag is Necessary. Like I say, it's a podcast that is a need for indie artists. Spread the word, tell some people about it. Again, A Name Tag is Necessary. Listen to me on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, leave a rating or a review if you think it's dope. Spread the word. Let me know what I can do if to make the podcast better. What other topics you want to hear me cover? Send me some questions. Like, drop me some questions on my social media. Instagram, again, at NametagAlexander, at NametagAlexandr on Twitter. Spread the word, man. Get it out there. NametagAlexander.com, leadandbelegendary.net. See y'all next go round. Peace.